When people can no longer control you, they rarely walk away peacefully. They change the battlefield. They stop trying to hold your hands and start trying to control how everyone else sees you. Have you ever noticed that the moment you finally begin saying no, the atmosphere around you changes? Conversations become colder. Smiles become rehearsed. The same people who once praised your kindness suddenly call you selfish. The same silence that once made you mature now becomes arrogance. It's almost as if your freedom offended someone without you even realizing it. But here's the unsettling truth. Most people don't fear losing you. They fear losing the version of you they could predict, influence, and quietly manipulate. The obedient version, the guilty version, the version that apologized for having boundaries. History has repeated this pattern countless times. From philosophers who challenged societies to ordinary people who simply refused to be controlled, independence has always carried an invisible price. As Carl Jung once suggested, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Sometimes, your independence becomes a mirror reflecting another person's deepest insecurity. In today's world, control rarely looks like chains. It hides behind guilt, behind subtle criticism, behind fake concern, behind rumors whispered just loudly enough for others to hear. And if you've recently started changing your life, protecting your peace, setting boundaries, refusing emotional games, you may already be experiencing what comes next. Because when people realize they can no longer control your choices, they begin trying to control your reputation. And once you understand the 4 psychological tactics you're about to discover, you'll never look at conflict the same way again. Before someone tries to destroy your confidence, they often try to destroy your credibility. Imagine standing in a room where everyone suddenly seems a little distant. Nobody openly confronts you. Nobody tells you what changed. Yet, conversations stop when you enter. Invitations quietly disappear. You begin questioning yourself long before anyone questions you aloud. This is one of the oldest psychological weapons ever used. When manipulation stops working privately, it often moves into public perception. People who relied on controlling you understand something powerful. If they cannot make you doubt yourself, perhaps they can convince everyone else to doubt you instead. The ancient Chinese strategist Sun Tzu understood that the greatest victories are won before the battle even begins. Reputation becomes the battlefield because perception shapes reality more effectively than force ever could. Notice how subtle this tactic is. They rarely tell direct lies. Instead, they ask innocent-looking questions. Have you noticed they've changed? I'm just worried about them. I hope success hasn't gone to their head. Every sentence sounds compassionate. Every sentence quietly plants suspicion. Soon, people begin connecting dots that never existed. Psychologists call this confirmation bias. Once people hear a negative narrative, they unconsciously search for evidence that confirms it, even if none truly exists. And here's where many people make a devastating mistake. They desperately try to explain themselves to everyone, but the more you defend yourself against invisible accusations, the guiltier you appear. The truly powerful response isn't louder explanations. It's consistent character. Time exposes manipulation far more effectively than arguments ever can. As the philosopher Marcus Aurelius reminded us, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Because eventually masks become too heavy to wear forever. Truth has patience. Manipulation has deadlines. The most dangerous prison has no walls. It exists inside your conscience. The moment you stop allowing others to dictate your life, something unexpected happens. The arguments often disappear, but the guilt begins. Not because you've done something wrong, because someone has realized your heart is easier to control than your choices. Think about how manipulation evolves. When commands no longer work, emotional pressure takes their place. Suddenly you're told you've changed. You're reminded of everything others have done for you. You're accused of forgetting where you came from. Every decision you make is quietly wrapped in obligation until your own happiness begins to feel like an act of betrayal. This is why emotional manipulators rarely ask, "Can I control you?" Instead, they ask a far more powerful question: "How can I make you feel guilty for choosing yourself?" The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once observed that invisible forms of power are often stronger than visible ones because they shape the mind before they ever shape behavior. Guilt is one of those invisible forces. It doesn't tie your hands, it convinces you to tie them yourself. Imagine carrying a backpack that grows heavier every time you say yes when you wanted to say no. At first, the weight is barely noticeable, but over months, over years, you begin walking through life exhausted, wondering why peace always feels just out of reach. Then one day you realize something profound. The backpack was never yours. Someone else packed it, and you simply kept carrying it. This is why healthy boundaries feel uncomfortable in the beginning, not because they're wrong, but because they're unfamiliar. If you've spent years measuring your worth by how much you sacrifice, choosing yourself can feel unnatural. Yet discomfort is often the first sign that you're breaking an old pattern, not creating a new problem. Carl Jung believed that true freedom begins when we stop living according to the expectations projected onto us by others. Every boundary you set is an act of reclaiming your identity. Every respectful no is a reminder that love without freedom is not love. It is dependency wearing a friendly mask. So when someone says, "If you really cared, you would," pause before answering. Ask yourself a different question. Would someone who genuinely loves me need guilt to keep me close? Because real relationships are strengthened by respect, not by emotional debt. People who value you will adjust to your boundaries. People who benefited from your lack of boundaries will resist them. And that resistance tells you more about the relationship than any apology ever could. The greatest act of self-respect is not proving you're a good person to everyone. It is refusing to betray yourself just to make someone else comfortable. Sometimes the loudest form of manipulation is complete silence, and the cruelest punishment is being made to feel invisible. There is a moment that catches almost everyone off guard. Not because someone yells at you, not because they threaten you, but because they suddenly disappear. The messages become shorter. The invitations stop. The warmth vanishes. The people who once demanded your attention now offer none at all. At first it feels confusing, then it becomes painful. Eventually, you begin wondering whether you should apologize, even though you don't know what you're apologizing for. This is the psychology of emotional withdrawal. When control is lost, affection is often withdrawn, not because love has disappeared, but because attention itself becomes the next weapon. It's an unspoken message that says, "If you won't return to the version of yourself I preferred, then I'll make you feel what life is like without my approval." Human beings are wired for connection. Long before modern society, being excluded from the tribe often meant death. That ancient survival instinct still lives inside us today. A delayed reply, a cold conversation, or being left out can trigger the same emotional alarm system that once protected our ancestors. Manipulators understand this instinct, even if they don't consciously realize they're using it. This is why silence can hurt more deeply than an argument. An argument acknowledges your existence. Silence tries to erase it. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer wrote that much of human suffering comes not from reality itself, but from the meaning we attach to it. When someone withdraws, the mind rushes to fill the empty space with stories. Maybe I'm too difficult. Maybe I should have stayed quiet. Maybe I ruined everything. But notice what happens next. The more desperately you chase their attention, the more power they regain. Every unanswered message becomes another invisible string pulling you back toward compliance. Without realizing it, you're no longer seeking connection. You are seeking permission to feel worthy again. This is the trap, and it's why emotionally mature people learn a difficult lesson. Not every silence deserves to be broken. Sometimes silence is not an invitation to chase. It is information. It reveals who only valued your presence when it came with obedience. As Lao Tzu taught, care about what other people think, and you will always be their prisoner. The moment your peace depends on someone else's approval, you've handed them the keys to your emotional freedom. Healthy relationships don't make you earn affection through submission. They don't disappear every time you disagree. They don't use distance as discipline. Real love communicates. Real friendship clarifies. Real respect remains, even in conflict. So if someone's silence is designed to make you doubt your worth, don't confuse absence with truth. People who truly care may need space, but they don't weaponize it, and perhaps the most powerful response to being intentionally ignored is not louder pleading. It is quieter confidence. Because the strongest person in the room is often the one who can sit in silence without abandoning themselves. The final weapon of control isn't changing your behavior. It's changing the story people believe about who you are. There comes a point in every journey of personal freedom when something remarkable happens. The people who once tried to change your decisions realize they no longer can. Your boundaries have become stronger. Your confidence no longer depends on their approval. Your peace is no longer available for negotiation. And that is when they make one final move. They stop fighting the person you are and begin fighting the person they tell others you have become. Overnight, your independence becomes arrogance. Your confidence becomes pride. Your silence becomes coldness. Your boundaries become selfishness. Your healing becomes rebellion. The facts may never change, only the narrative does. This is one of the oldest psychological patterns in human history. Whenever someone outgrows a system built on control, that system often labels the person, not because the label is true, but because labels are easier to believe than transformation. Carl Jung warned that people often project onto others the parts of themselves they refuse to confront. In other words, someone who secretly fears losing power may accuse you of being controlling. Someone who cannot respect boundaries may call you heartless for creating them. Their judgment says more about their inner conflict than it does about your character. And this is where many people lose themselves. Not because they return to manipulation, but because they begin fighting every misunderstanding. They spend years trying to convince people they are still kind, still loyal, still worthy. But here's the quiet truth that changes everything. Not everyone deserves an explanation. Some people are committed to misunderstanding you because the truth would require them to examine themselves. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." You don't defeat manipulation by becoming louder. You defeat it by becoming steadier. A mountain doesn't argue with the wind. It simply remains a mountain. There is a profound freedom that arrives the day you stop asking, "How do I make everyone understand me?" and begin asking, "Am I living in alignment with my values?" Because your identity is not built by opinions. It is built by repeated choices. Every time you choose honesty over performance, peace over people-pleasing, self-respect over approval, you become a little harder to manipulate, until one day, something extraordinary happens. You become emotionally untouchable, not because nobody criticizes you, not because nobody misunderstands you, but because your sense of self no longer lives inside someone else's opinion. That is the kind of freedom no manipulator can take away. No rumor can erase it. No silence can weaken it. No guilt can purchase it. No label can redefine it. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of all. When people can no longer control you, they will often try to control the story, the crowd, or your emotions. But they can only succeed if you forget who you are. So protect your peace, guard your boundaries, speak with kindness, but stand with conviction. Because the strongest people are not those who control others. They are those who have learned to master themselves. As Epictetus wisely said, no man is free who is not master of himself. And maybe, after everything you've experienced, that is the freedom you've been searching for all along. If this message resonated with you, don't just watch it, reflect on it. Ask yourself, who becomes uncomfortable when I become healthier? Who benefits when I doubt myself? And perhaps the most important question of all, am I living according to my own values or according to someone else's expectations? If this video helped you see people and yourself in a new light, leave a comment with one word: free. Because sometimes the first step toward freedom is simply recognizing the invisible chains. Until next time, keep questioning, keep growing, and remember, the greatest victory is never controlling another person. It is becoming someone that manipulation can no longer reach.